Hi, I'm Leon Lovelace, and this is Unstoppable Force. I got a news story for you, and it's from The Guardian. It's about the French President Emmanuel Macron. Okay, and he's in the news right now, and he's having a little bit of problems with the people or the citizens of his nation. They're not quite so happy with them. The article talks about how when President Trump went over to France and they had some meetings and he went to, and especially at the G20 summit, he was looking pretty good on the international stage. Of course, standing next to Trump, fucking everybody looks good next to him. But one of the French armed forces, the head of the French armed forces, he resigned earlier this week because he disagreed with Macron's decision to cut defense spending. And he just called him juvenile authoritarianism. Of course, here's the problem with Macron, is that he's a centrist. Okay, because he came to power not only on a promise of political renewal, he almost promised a raft of tax cuts. And also don't forget the fact that he did just pretty much create a brand new political party, and he's able to just corral a lot of supporters around the citizens just being disgruntled with the existing political figures and political structure that was already in existence. So just keep that in mind. But let's continue. All right. Many were aimed at the rich, many of the tax cuts, including reining in the wealth tax as well as cutting charges for businesses, which he argued would restore competitiveness and boost jobs. Of course, we all know that's horseshit, but let's go on. Indeed, a study this week found that the richest 10% of France's households would probably benefit the most from his proposed tax cuts. Because that's what it's always about, baby. When you talk about, I need to cut taxes, it's always for the wealthy people. It's always for the donors. It's not about, I got to make sure I cut taxes on the poor and the working class. I got to make sure we get rid of all these centrists never talk about how we got to cut taxes on the poor and the working class because we got to make sure that we limit poverty, homelessness, hunger, health problems, all sorts of these issues. They never talk about that when they talk about tax cuts. Because they don't represent the poor and the working class people. Other tax cuts were aimed at lower incomes, including his flagship manifesto that promised to scrap local housing taxes for 80% of households. But when Macron's prime minister, Edouard Philippe, set out the government's roadmap earlier this month, the message was that France was so in debt that the promised tax cuts needed to be gently pushed onto the back burner. Macron wants France to meet EU rules on bringing down the budget deficit for the first time in a decade, and that means belt tightening. A little farther down, he talks about what he did. He just told everybody that the tax cut will come into force next year. So people, would not be so angry at him for, flip-flopping on his promises. And this is also important to talk about because all these political issues and political decisions these presidents and parliaments and legislators make isn't made in a vacuum. At the very least, some people have families that live in different nations, even if it's just cousins or aunts, uncles, and they go visit them, and at the very least, a few percentage of people will have their families suffer because of another nation's centrist or regressive tax policies or regressive policies on the Syrian war and the Afghanistan war. Because remember, it's not just the U.S. that's involved with the Syrian war, the Afghanistan war. France is also sending troops. I mean, pretty sure the UN, they send troops every now and then, just a few troops to help out with fighting terrorism. So, okay, because the problem not always just addressing France is how to pay for them. Suddenly, the government needed to find spending cuts and spraying them on unsuspecting ministries. The controversial military cuts were just one. It was all the more surprising after Macron's long-term promise to significantly boost military spending. And that's really great for the people of France, for Macron and the government to say, you know what, we're going to invest more in killing people and killing brown people that live in a different nation and are poorer than them. That's going to do wonders for the French people. The army is by far the most loved institution in France, and Macron has now promised spending increases for next year. Alright, we'll continue a little bit. Though Macron's approval ratings remain comparatively high at 54%, he slipped 5 points this month in one BV8 poll for Le Tribune. Respondents with a poor opinion of Macron cited his perceived arrogance, authoritarianism, disregard for the working class, and excessive attention to his own image. Alright, then there's a quote from him at the end. He had there will be difficult debates. There will be budgetary, there will be human. We will have to negotiate between two solutions and choose the lesser evil. I thought that was important because, like Jill Stein said in the during the presidential election, quit choosing between the lesser of two evils. Choose the greater good. Because the only thing the lesser of two evils does is get you the greater evil, because all they're going to do is slowly march towards all those things that you do not want. If you do not want increased poverty, if you do not want increased war, if you do not want increased pollution, if you do not want increased civil rights abuses, if you do not want more fracking, if you do not want more terrible health care bills instead of getting single payer health care, etc., etc., that's all the lesser of two evils is going to bring you, is all those problems, because they're not pushing towards the greater good. They're going to keep going towards the greater evil. And this isn't a new thing. Our policies over here has just been the lesser of two evils, and occasionally the greater evil, but that's all that our political system has marched towards. And I'm sure other nations have been marching towards those atrocious policies too. I just haven't looked at them yet. Alright, so thanks for watching, and just don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe to my channel.